Okay, hi everyone. Now let's get into part two and look at the pericardium. The pericardium is associated with the second chakra. Now, our ancestors understood that the human body spoke metaphorically the language of the Great Mother, and they used archetypes that we know to explain its energy. And here in the second chakra, the pericardium represents the energy of Sagittarius. And I have highlighted Sagittarius on this ancient image here, which you can see on the thighs. And now we'll look at how it relates to the pericardium and why knowing this matters. In Chinese medicine, the pericardium is also referred to as a heart protector. It is a thin, double-layered sac that surrounds the heart, providing it with protection and lubrication. Its main functions are shielding the heart from infections and disease spreading from nearby organs. It also produces a small amount of fluid between its layers so that the heart can beat smoothly without friction and anchors the heart in place with the chest within the chest cavity while still allowing it to move as it beats. The pericardium helps also with pressure regulation by preventing the heart from overexpanding when blood volume suddenly increases. Its function protects the heart from friction as it, oops, I lost myself there quite a bit. Here we go. So the pericardium helps with pressure regulation by preventing the heart from overexpanding where blood volume suddenly increases. Its function protects the heart from friction as it beats. Now, in Western medicine, the pericardium is mostly seen as a protective sac for the heart. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it guards the heart emotionally as well as physically, relating to intimacy and connection by absorbing the emotional and energetic shocks before they actually reach the heart. The pericardium protects the heart from stress, trauma, and intense emotions, especially heartbreak or emotional invasion. Now let's look at the meridians that support the pericardium, which run along the middle of the arm. It starts in the chest near the heart and then moves through the pericardial sac, running along the center of the arm, as I mentioned, through the inner elbow and wrist, and ending at the tip of the middle finger of each hand, because the meridians, they mirror themselves on each side of the body. Now, physical symptoms. When the pericardium is out of balance, what to look for? Now, physical signs of a weakened pericardium can show up as chest tightness or pain that's not related to the heart organ, or tingling or pain along the center line of the arm, cold hands, especially the middle fingers, or sweaty palms, because the nervous system, along with the pericardium, can produce excess heat when it's in detriment. Pericarditis is the inflammation of the pericardium, again, the sac surrounding the heart, and it causes chest pain and other symptoms. This pain is often described as sharp and stabbing, and it can be aggravated by deep breaths, coughing, or lying down. So other symptoms can include fever, shortness of breath, and a feeling of fatigue. Acute inflammation is known again as pericarditis, and while the exact cause of pericarditis is often unknown by the allopathic community, it can result from viral or bacterial infections, heart attacks, chest injuries, or other inflammatory conditions when the pericardium strength is weakened, which leaves the heart open to attack. The most prominent symptom really is chest pain, which can be mistaken for a heart attack. This pain can radiate to the neck, the shoulders, or the back. Now, let's look at emotional symptoms when the pericardium is out of balance. Now, this is, considered low Sagittarius energy. Let me just see if I can bring the screen down or maybe up. Okay. So emotionally speaking, the pericardium governs emotional balance when it comes to how we let others into our inner world. So energetically, the pericardium protects the heart, not just physically, but also emotionally as well. And when the pericardium is in balance, its emotions are joy, intimacy, connection, and healthy emotional boundaries. Its energetic role shields the heart from shock, trauma, or emotional invasion, and it helps you open and close emotionally in healthy ways. You can kind of think of it as an emotional buffer, the emotional bodyguard, really, absorbing stress or heartache so the heart isn't overwhelmed. Now, it sets relational openness to support how much we allow others into our heart space when it comes to intimacy, boundaries, and trust. Its sexual and creative expression are closely connected with hydration and the reproductive energies. So when strong, we remain open-hearted and protected, the very essence of emotional sovereignty. But when it's weak, we might feel overly vulnerable, enmeshed, or reactive. Now, the energetic or emotional signs of a weak pericardium are emotional numbness or oversensitivity, trouble forming or maintaining intimate relationships, fear of being vulnerable, or fear of, or maybe just being too open, feeling overwhelmed by affection or touch, difficulty with intimacy or trust, anxiety, insomnia, or chest tightness. Now, when the pericardium is in detriment, the person can begin to feel like they have no meaning in life or no real will to live. They feel as they have no true meaning and that it's actually a silly pursuit to even try to find meaning. They feel completely disconnected from their higher purpose, like sort of, nihilistic. So be aware when you get restless and impatient, as emotional boredom can lead to really impulsive decisions or escapism behavior. Now, the pericardium keeps your heart happy, jovial, and usually having a philosophical belief in life can really help strengthen it. Understanding and protecting your energy and emotions allows you to remain deeply compassionate and creatively vibrant without burning out. If your pericardium is weak, the questions to begin asking yourself are, have you been confusing love with emotional responsibility? Believing that if you love someone, it's your job to manage, fix, or carry their emotions, even at the expense of your own. Have you been doing emotional caretaking? Who or what has broken your heart or your trust? Do you let others in too easily or not at all? So fundamentally, the pericardium is concerned with boundaries. Where do you need stronger boundaries? The job here is to rebuild your emotional sovereignty and strengthen it. So let's take a look at the metaphor of Sagittarius and how it really relates to the pericardium. Let's look at the archetype of Sagittarius. Now, the word Sagittarius has been created to give a more in-depth understanding of heart protector energy. In Latin, Sagitt means archer, coming from sagitta, which means arrow. And the arrow really signifies aim or aspiration, forward movement, and the quest for personal truth. And Taurus is the Latin word for young male ox. So together, these two words give the impression of a strong force that aims for freedom and personal truth. This energy values independence and the ability to explore, whether physically, mentally, or spiritually. And its growth comes from both knowledge and action. Now, metaphorically, the archer and a horse can also be represented as a centaur, which reveals sort of the dual nature of the human mind, you know, consciousness and animal instinct, which is, physicality, intuitiveness. The human part represents intellect, consciousness, and reasoning. And the horse part represents instinct, freedom, nobility, and physical energy. And together, they represent knowledge, guidance, ethical growth with a philosophical and truth-seeking nature. Now, I want to just briefly take a look at the significance of the glyph or the symbol, which is a slanted arrow. Now, the pericardium itself centrally lies in the thoracic cavity between the lungs and extends roughly from the sternum in the front of the thoracic vertebrae. In the roughly from the sternum in the front to the thoracic vertebrae in the back. Now, the sagittal plane divides the body into left and right halves. This plane helps describe locations, movements, and orientations in anatomy. The pericardium and the heart lie along the midline of the thorax and the sagittal plane, and can be used to visualize the heart and the pericardium from a left-right perspective. The sagittal plane is a way to know and visualize the location of pain in the pericardium and the heart in an anatomical concept. And the sagittal plane also relates to movement that can nourish the pericardium and heart. Movements in the sagittal plane encourage flow, mobility, and expansion of the chest. So these movements mechanically and energetically massage the pericardium, enhancing circulation, oxygenation, and heart efficiency. Also combining sagittal plane movement with deep diaphragmatic breathing is especially supportive for pericardial and heart health. Now, the sagittal plane. So movements which occur in the sagittal plane move the body forward and backward, dividing it into a left and right halves. Now, these movements which occur in the sagittal plane move the body forward and backward. They generally involve the heart and chest expanding and contracting in a linear way to promote circulation. Sagittal plane movements open the thoracic cavity front to back, which improves cardiopulmonary circulation. This encourages diaphragmatic breathing, thus reducing tension around the heart and stimulating blood flow and lymphatic drainage, which can nourish heart tissues and the pericardium. So examples of these movements are forward bends, backward bends, gently compressing and then releasing the chest, encouraging heart and pericardium mobility. The most basic of these really are walking, running, or cycling, all which have a very rhythmic sagittal plane movement that increases heart rate, pumping blood through the pericardial sac efficiently. Also, arm swings and dynamic stretches allow the heart and upper back to expand, supporting heart function which positively affects the pericardium. So movements, a little bit more on the glyph and symbol. So movements in the sagittal plane encourage the flow, mobility, and the heart pericardial health. But deeper still, slight tilts or angles can enhance pericardial nourishment. For example, a forward tilt can gently compress and release the chest, stimulating circulation. A slight backward lean or extension opens thoracic cavity, promoting mobility around the heart. The key is that the primary motion is still forward and backward, even with a minor tilt for natural alignment or balance. Slight tilts or angles are beneficial, and they work like a fluid plane, not a rigid plane, where your body adapts naturally. Now, a deeper look at the arrow, if you understand archery, then you know the faster that an arrow spins, it will create a more stable form that really hits its mark. So by speeding up the force of the individual through a buildup of air resistance, which is stimulated by exercise or breathing exercises, which increase blood flow, you can actually move stagnant energy around the heart. This centrifugal type movement helps blood circulation through the body. If the pericardium's forces are too weak, any manual centrifugal force, such as swinging your arms in circles, to generate a small amount of force may help in stagnant moments. So an arrow really is a great metaphor to remember how to quickly bring balance to the pericardial sac. What happened to my light? There we go. Now, relief for the pericardium. I just wanted to look at the symbol Sagittarius a bit more. In this ancient image, the symbol of Sagittarius is on the thighs. Now, the fascia of the legs, pelvis, and abdomen actually influence tension along the thoracic region. So stretching the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the large muscles, can release pelvic and lower back tension, which reduce stress on the diaphragm and the chest wall. Now, since the pericardium is attached to the central tendon of the diaphragm, anything that eases diaphragmatic tension can indirectly relieve pericardial tension. To increase circulatory benefit, stretching the thighs will improve venous return from the lower body to the heart. And better circulation reduces cardiac workload and can help the pericardium function more efficiently. Cardiac issues can also cause back pain, but by stretching your thighs, you relieve the heart of its burden by improving blood flow, lowering blood pressure, and decreasing the stiffness of arteries. So stretching activates parasympathetic pathways via the vagus nerve, which can calm the heart and the pericardium. The hamstrings and the quadriceps are connected through fascia, as I mentioned before, to the pelvic floor and spine, which interact with autonomic nerves, affecting the heart rate and the pericardial tone. So the energetic functional perspective, which is an integrative view, in traditional Chinese medicine and also some yoga anatomical philosophies, is that the pericardium meridians connect through the torso to the legs. So stretching and opening the thighs can free energy flow and reduce pericardial constriction. So you can't stretch the pericardium directly to release trapped energy, but you can stretch the thighs to release tension in the pelvis, which improves diaphragmatic mobility. And this enhances venous return and stimulates parasympathetic calming, all of which help the pericardium function more freely and release. So it's able to move. You stimulate better movement. And just as a quick side note, I wanted to mention why does stretching feel so good? Well, when you stretch, endorphins, which are natural painkillers, they are released in our body during certain activities like exercise and stretching, and they help reduce pain and give us feelings of joy. Now, the release of endorphins during stretching also adds to the feeling of pleasure and the feeling of calm. And so stretching again, as when it comes to the pericardium, is a good thing. Feeling of goodness, feeling of relief, and able to release the blocks. So there we have it. Now, some healing the pericardium through thoughts, and these thoughts are Sag oriented. So emotionally, pericardium energy protects the heart, and its energetic mode is naturally to be optimistic and uplifting, to help you see the glass half full and allow you to lift other spirits easily. So if you are low in pericardial energy, it's important to begin building this energetic force. And here are the basics to healing the pericardium through energetically building more emotional sovereignty. So number one, you've got to set clear boundaries. You've got to decide what will and won't allow in your emotional space. For example, if someone is projecting their stress onto you, you can acknowledge it, but not absorb it. Number two, detach from external validation. Really important. Notice when you're seeking approval, as we all do, or permission to feel okay, and practice giving that validation to yourself first. You can even use a mantra like, I trust my feelings. I don't need everyone to understand them, to trigger your mind into establishing this thought. Now, number three is reframe triggers as teachers. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Try, what is this showing me about my wounds or my value system? Sovereignty grows as you use life experiences for self-knowledge, and this is really the one I prefer. Number four is anchor into self-authority. Regularly ask yourself, what do I truly want or need in this moment? Build trust with yourself by following through on small self-honoring choices. Number five, cultivate practices of inner centering. So meditation, visualization, you can imagine being rooted like a tree, or even have daily affirmations strengthen your inner ground. Over time, your center becomes harder to shake, no matter what the storm is outside. So do visualizations for emotional sovereignty practices for the pericardium, and also do boundary visualizations. Imagine a soft golden shield around your heart. Let love, compassion, and truth in, but allow negativity, manipulation, or chaos to bounce off. Also, you can use a language shift. So instead of they made me feel, you can say, oh, I'm feeling in response to what happened. And this shift really puts the authority back to you because you are the authority. So pericardium check-ins, place your hand on your heart and ask, does this feel nourishing or depleting? Let that answer guide your choices. And then you can even use relational sovereignty practices, which is, being open-hearted without overexposing yourself. So when you're in conversation, notice, am I giving from genuine care or out of obligation? or fear of rejection. Emotional sovereignty protects the inner temple while still allowing authentic connection. You have to remember, we all have to remember, it is about us first and foremost before it's about anybody else. Okay, so now I want to talk about healing the pericardium with exercises. And of course, these exercises are Sag oriented. We've talked about how the sagittal plane movements encourage flow and mobility. Now, these movements mechanically and energetically massage the pericardium, which enhance circulation, oxygenation, heart efficiency. Now, combining sagittal plane movements with deep diaphragmatic breathing is especially supportive for heart and pericardial health because the pericardium meridians flow through the chest and arms. Stretching the inner arms can activate or soothe this organ and open the chest. Some sagittal plane pericardium and heart, of course, nourishing movements are stretching the arms open with the hands wide and extended, especially the chest and the inner forearms. Of course, as I mentioned, walking and jogging helps movement along the sagittal plane by engaging the diaphragm and lungs, indirectly mobilizing the pericardium. Focus on long, deep breaths to maximize chest expansion. Okay, so number 3, you can do forward bends, standing or seated on the sagittal plane, which will induce gentle compression and the release of the chest and upper body. And this stimulates circulation around the pericardium and heart. An example is a seated forward fold, which you will inhale to lengthen the spine first and then exhale to fold gently. Also, you can do back bends. So gentle sagittal extension opens the chest and the thoracic cavity and promotes the mobility of the pericardium, and the intercostal space is very important. An example of this is standing or lying back bends, such as bridge pose, from yoga, or gentle chest opening stretch against the wall. Number 5, another good one is lunges. So the forward step with the torso upright will expand the thoracic cavity. This encourages dynamic engagement of the diaphragm and heart-friendly blood flow. Also arm swings and front to back shoulder rolls. Front to back shoulder rolls will open and close the chest rhythmically. It also mobilizes sort of the whole heart area and the surrounding connective tissue. So coordinate this movement with deep inhales and exhales. Now, number 7, dynamic core flexion extension. An example of this is cat-cow stretch, again from yoga, or gentle crunches, or standing spine waves. Now, this enhances thoracic spine mobility. It improves blood and lymphatic circulation near the pericardium. It always coordinate movement with slow, deep breathing. Keep movements gentle and rhythmic. The goal is to support circulation, not strain the heart. So combine forward flexion movements with backward extension motions to create a full thoracic massage effect, and aim for, say, 5 to 15 minutes of focused sagittal plane movement daily for energetic and physical support for the pericardium, which directly affects the heart. Now, let's talk about healing the pericardium with deeds. So these deeds, of course, are Sag-oriented. Now, so the pericardium governs emotional balance, joy, intimacy, and how we let others into our inner world. Now, when weak, We can feel overly vulnerable, enmeshed, or even reactive. When it's strong, we remain open-hearted and protected. The essence of emotional sovereignty is this open-heartedness and protected. So the pericardium establishes really your adventurous spirit, and it is emotionally fed by new experiences, travel, and learning. It can become restless when you are or you feel you are stagnant. It's important to be honest and direct. Value your truth and allow yourself to think independently. The pericardium feels its best really when it's free to roam mentally, physically, and emotionally. Another suggestion is to be giving. Don't be afraid to share what you know or have. Feel free to resist anything also that feels like it pins you down. You know, you have to be able to explore your own ideas of freedom and growth. This will allow you emotional experiences that make you feel expansive and unconfined. So seek your own truth. It doesn't have to fit anyone else but you. And align with your own higher truth and philosophy to find meaning for yourself and follow your intuitive lead. Those feelings will lead you always somewhere closer to yourself, which is always the goal. And as you go about this, be playful, generous, and passionate. And take space when you need it. Learn to value honesty and don't shy away from it at all. Explore the possibility of shared adventures. Don't be afraid to turn away from emotional intimacy if it feels too heavy or possessive. Establish these thoughts by doing breath work and somatic centering. The pericardium is linked with the chest and diaphragm. Gentle breath practices, both body and spirit. We need to be doing those. Try heart breathing by inhaling into the chest space and exhaling through the back of the heart. You can feel a sphere of energy around your heart expand and contract. Box breathing is good too. So box breathing, of course, is 4 seconds in and then 4 seconds out and then 4 seconds stop. Did I do that right? 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, exhale, and 4 seconds stop. And this really creates calm regulation and stability around emotional triggers. So do activities that feed your inner self and strengthen that emotional sovereignty, that pericardium, uh, which are adventurous travel as well. The pericardium thrives on unveiling the unknown. It loves to go off the beaten path, whether it's philosophical or spiritual or physical, to stimulate the inner world. Its energy is truth-seeking. So any trip that feeds the mind and soul is magnetic. Now, even long-term nomadic travel is good, as the pericardium doesn't like tight schedules. It craves the ability to just wander freely and encourages the heart to do so. Cultural deep dives are fantastic. These deep dives combine learning through massive immersion, which combine language, food, customs, ideas all at once. Also, spontaneous last-minute trips that stimulate the pericardium by enjoying surprises and the spontaneity in life lighten up the pericardium and the heart. So those are good too. This is all Sag energy, which we all have in our bodies. So healing the pericardium with words. Again, Sag energy. So we're going to talk about mantras that are Sag oriented for our pericardium. So mantras to strengthen emotional sovereignty. We can say them out loud, we can say them softly or strongly, or in our heads while placing our hand over our chest. I honor my feelings. They are mine to experience, not for others to control. My pericardium is open and my boundaries are strong. I am the sovereign of my emotions. Love flows through me without depleting me. It is safe for me to open and safe for me to close when I choose so. So spoken word practices. I mean, you can even have like a morning invocation where you stand tall and you breathe into your chest and you say, today, I choose what energies I welcome into my pericardium and my heart. I walk with clarity, compassion, and strength. You can also have, depending on you, a protective word ritual. So before entering stressful situations, and I do this, whisper only to yourself, only what serves my highest good may enter my inner space. Now, imagine these words sort of forming a protective shield around your chest. And also, I want to mention another mantra good for pericardial toning is saying the word ha, because in the word ha in Taoist healing is a reparative sound for the pericardium and the heart. It's like a warm sigh. It goes ha, ha. So inhale the sound gently while focusing on the chest, and it can help clear stuck energy. Ha. So it might even be beneficial to have an evening closing practice where you place both hands on your pericardium, your heart, and say, I call back all the energy from this day. What is mine stays and what is not mine goes. And this seals your pericardium's emotional field before rest. So other mantras could be that are Sag related, could be the journey is the destination, or don't fence me in, or what can I learn from this place and from myself while I'm here now? These are all beneficial and they all build emotional sovereignty. That's the goal. Now, I had made a previous video on skin and Sagittarius, but I wanted to bring it into this video as well and just talk a little bit more about it and the pericardium. So Sagittarius represents boundaries, and in Chinese medicine, our skin barrier is affected by our pericardium. The pericardium protects the heart from external pathogenic factors. Now, in the same way, the skin is really the outer protector of the whole body, a sort of first defense layer against external pathogens such as wind, cold, heat, and damp, Together, the pericardium and the skin act as shields. The pericardium governs the circulation of blood in connection with the heart. Healthy blood circulation nourishes the skin, giving it color, luster, and resilience. If the pericardium is weak, the skin can appear pale, dull, dry, or lack vitality. When unbalanced, excess pericardium heat can show as red rashes, flushed face, or breakouts. The pericardium is the emotional gatekeeper, and it regulates how emotions reach the heart. And skin is strongly tied to the pericardium, and stress, grief, or emotional trauma can manifest in skin problems such as eczema or rashes or acne. The pericardium channel interacts with the triple burner meridians, which govern fluids, hydration, and the distribution of them to the skin. This means the pericardium indirectly supports the skin's moisture balance, and it relates to the skin by ensuring healthy circulation of bloods and fluids, offering protection like the skin itself does, and showing the state of the emotions on the surface of the body. Now, in Western medicine, the pericardium's job is mainly protective, and while the pericardium itself doesn't pump blood, anything that restricts it, like pericarditis or fluid buildup or pericardial effusion, can reduce how well the heart pumps. So poor pumping equals less oxygen and less nutrients delivery to the skin, leading to pallor, dullness, or even bluish discoloration. The pericardium has rich nerve supply and is closely linked with the autonomic nervous system. Stress, which the pericardium feels through the heart rate changes and through tension, can trigger flushing, sweating, stress, rashes, hives, and extreme eczema flares, and so on. So the emotional shielding role of the pericardium exists in Western medicine too. If the pericardium is inflamed, again known as pericarditis, the body releases inflammatory chemicals. These can affect blood vessels and the immune system, which can then show up on the skin as redness, rashes, feverishness, clammy skin. The pericardium is also involved in microcirculation too, where healthy skin depends on these tiny vessels that are delivering blood to the surface. So if the pericardium, and of course the heart, is under stress, microcirculation to the skin gets compromised and blocked. And skin, of course, will look dry, mottled, cold, and so on. So in Western terms, the pericardium influences the skin directly by regulating heart function, blood circulation, stress responses, and inflammation, all of which show up on the skin's color and texture and temperature, and even conditions like rashes. So from a Western perspective, the pericardium focuses on reducing strain on the heart and keeping circulation and stress responses balanced. Because of the link between the liver and the pericardium, water consumption can help soften resistance by staying hydrated and help with good blood volume, which keeps skin plump and nourished. And regular movement, walking, swimming, yoga, and all the sagittal plane movements improve blood flow to the skin. Now, unbalanced emotions cause stress hormones, which tighten the blood vessels, making skin pale, dry, and sometimes with breakouts. So relaxation techniques, and of course exercise, soften the pericardium's tension. Now, one thing we need to do is to prioritize sleep, because sleep is a lack of resistance, and it's where we renew ourselves. So during the night is when blood flow to the skin increases for repair. And in Western medicine, we support circulation, manage stress to reduce inflammation. In traditional Chinese medicine perspective, the pericardium regulates blood circulation and emotions. So nourishing our blood, calming our emotions, to release excess pericardial heat is important. Both practices, whether it is Western or traditional Chinese medicine, can help the pericardium function smoothly, which means healthier, calmer, and more radiant skin. So I just wanted to mention that little bit on skin. And now we've come to the end of part 2. And in part 3, which is the next part, we will talk about the liver and the pericardium together. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye for now.